we fought each other. We trained together. We weren't best mates or anything. We didn't particularly
Yeah.
have, I wasn't texting him every day or doing anything like that, but we left an impression on each other, so he helped me train for a couple of UFC fights. And then I actually fought in Romania, and him and his brother commentated on the fight. You can probably find it. I can't remember. It was called RXF. If you type in Luke Barnatt RXF, you'll be able to see it. I took the fight on 2 weeks' notice, a weight class above what I usually fight at. To be honest, I just needed a bit of money before Christmas. I think the fight was in December, and I got paid cash. It was nice. And then that's the only way they pay you in Romania, I think. And I got paid. I remember getting paid in like €100 bills, €50 bills, €5 bills, €20 bills.
Coins.
Exactly. Whatever they could scrape together, that's what it felt like. Anyway, Andrew and Tristan were commentating on the fight, and obviously to see them it was just like a big thing. And this was before they are who they are now. And again, left an impression on them. Had a great time, had a good night out together. Like we were very close. I don't know how to explain it. So then once how it came around with me, when I was given the end of my career was coming around, they came to Marbella. So they were in Marbella on doing some car rally or something. And me and Andrew had like a 2-3 hour conversation about exactly this, about how don't know what I'm going to do in my life. I'm giving up fighting. And at what you just said, like he said to me, he said, "Listen, bro, I've been in the fight game. I've been in the real world. The skill sets that you possess, you don't understand the value that they have, like the mental resilience, pushing yourself to the limit, all these things that you can then utilize in business and in everything else. We obviously know you're willing to work harder than anyone else because you've had to do that to compete at such a high level. So, yeah, they kind of took me under their wing a little bit and helped me out quite a lot. So, without that moment, that 2-3 hour chat that I had with them, my mind would have never, like, doors have just kept opening in my brain ever since that day because I've refocused my energy onto opening them. And I think without that slight change of focus, and I realized this recently with there's a guy called Amir who's actually Tate's old trainer, and I was chatting with him. And he said to me, "Oh, Luke, I've been thinking about doing this fight organization." And he's surrounded by a lot of the same people. And all he can think about is fighting. So all he can think about is how to make money out of fighting or do something with fighting or for his fighters. And I'm just sitting there. And Amir's an amazing guy, great guy. I'm just like, bro, you don't make money in fighting. There's no money in it. Like, there's no point. Everything you're talking about is great and everything. But he can't repurpose his mind. He can't recreate himself and focus on something else because he spent his entire life doing that one thing. And I think that's, you need to have the flexibility in life to be able to move. You never know what's coming and what's going to happen. So you need to be able to constantly change and move. And I think fighters struggle with that because, like you said, they put their whole heart, body, and soul into one thing.
It's about picking the right vehicle, right? Because for you, fighting was the right vehicle when you didn't have any other options. But then when you do have the right options, you have the awareness to move between a different vehicle, do something that's more in an online space, a digital product, or vice versa, right? But an interesting observation I've made, and you might find this quite interesting, is that so I met Sterling, met Justin, and my observation, my assumption is that where you've got to, where they've got to, is because they genuinely help other people. So the way you interacted with the photographer, I want to tell you a story that you might find quite interesting. So you didn't know this photographer. You said hi to him. You're very pleasant to him. When I met Justin, he didn't know who I was because I sent him an email to meet. So he never saw my face, nothing. So I was waiting at a studio for him, and about 30 minutes went by, but I was early, and I heard him walking behind me, and he was walking down the corridor, and he didn't know what I looked like. I just saw this massive dude walking down, and I went up to him and I introduced myself and I said, "Hey, Justin, nice to meet you. How's your day?" And he looked down at me and he was like, "Pleasure to meet you. Hope you're having a lovely day. Is there anything I can help you with? How are you doing, sir?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Darren. Like, nice to meet you. Like, I'm actually recording with you today." And he was like, "Oh, we're recording in here." But he didn't realize who I was, and he just had this genuine, like, Southern, like, American accent, like, sincerity. And I thought, like, that was the biggest impression I've ever had from someone, was that interaction. And I spoke about this on my podcast previously, and I don't know, it's kind of difficult to explain it, how much significance it had. Is the fact that, like, he's up here and I could have been fucking anyone. And I just think that's how you, him, Sterling, Andrew, Tristan, I've never met them, but I can assume have got to these situations is because you're genuinely wanting to lift other people up, which most people don't want to, right? Most people view life as a zero sum game.
I think, Gab, everybody, Andrew especially, I mean Tristan too, but I've had experience with both, but they're genuinely the most like they care so much about everybody else, and they have so much. They're such gentlemen, I think is the word that I would use for them, that you would just never expect looking at their online profiles and all that sort of stuff. But I've been with those two around their house, around their, we can call them staff, in their house in Dubai when they were there, and like even the hairdresser. Like, and I always say this about Andrew, like you never leave an interaction with Andrew like feeling unhappy. You always feel happy and proud and good about yourself, because that's I think what makes him who he is and where he's got to, because he literally, it's like a magic that he has, that you like feel this vibe from him, and you leave the conversation feeling like good. I don't know what it is. It's like magnetism or whatever, but I think what it is he is so grounded with himself and happy with himself and who he is, and tested himself and pushed himself to such limits physically and mentally, and really knows who he is. So he doesn't have to, he has no bravado, if you want to call it that. Has plenty of bravado online, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But as a person, when you meet him, and I think that I could say the same with Tristan, I could definitely say the same with Sterling. Sterling spends a lot of time in Marbella now, and one of the genuine like guys, super, super nice, helpful. I got some stories about Sterling, like one of our personal trainer, like between the two of us, we were both training with him. I introduced him to Sterling. He got a blood clot in his lung or something crazy, but had no medical insurance and had to go to the hospital, and his bills racked up to like 12 grand or something like that. And Sterling just paid him like this, didn't even think about it. He just like looking after everyone around him. He's such a genuine, caring person and cares for everybody. And I think you just, that's definitely something I'm trying to. I think what do they say about money? They say that the more money you make, the more true version of yourself you can be. Right? It just amplifies who you are, and I think that's what you see with Sterling. Sterling's a great guy. The more money he's got, the more he's helping people. Same with Tate, same with Tristan, same with Justin. I would like to be that same guy as well. I think the more you can help people, the more value you can add to people's lives. Another friend of mine recently said to me, he believes, which I never thought about it like this before, and I thought it was super, super poignant and very, very clever. He believes the sum of money you end up having in your bank account is equal to the amount of value you give to the world.